Attention, please.
Yeah.
Kyle
Hello,
Petty
hey.
wants to talk.
Yep. I know. The PA's down on the ground. So I need everybody to get out of their seat and lay on the floor because that's where the sound is. Perfect. So I'm going to start them off. So later in racing, drivers and team owners and people got motor coaches. Okay, so you take a motor coach to the racetrack. Okay, and that was later in life. But Uncle Maurice was the first guy to have one. And it was a white-looking Dodge motorhome that, in all honesty, and I apologize to the little ears that are here, looked like a white bleached turd with a petty blue stripe around it. It was supposed to be aerodynamic, okay? But it was ugly.
Travco, right? Travco.
Yeah. So
it was perfect.
All right, so tell us about going to the races and some of the races that you went to and being in this beautiful camping experience that you guys had in this thing.
It was top of the line in the day, right? But Daddy wanted to be around the whole crowd, the whole family or whatever. But the beauty of the whole camper deal was Mama could take and cater the meals, because that was before all the catering. The Aunt Linda and Mother and Grandmother, they had to feed the crews and all. So that deal worked out better than anything because she could pack a big lunch and all that. And we'd get there, she'd put the tables out, and it'd be a buffet.
It was the last time I ever peed my pants was in that camper.
So what happened?
Of recent years.
In recent years, yeah. I know it all comes back around, but what happened?
Well, it was a few times that Daddy had a weekend off, and this was before he was born. And we were, they had this thing and they wanted to go to Outer Banks. So, you take the ferry, it ain't all bridges. And we were in, I guess, Ocracoke, lack of a better name of it. And we had to spend the night because we missed the last ferry. Well, I woke up and, with a cold surprise. Anyway,
so wait a minute. So it wasn't that you were scared.
No, it's just one of them accidental.
I thought it was going to be a good story.
Well, I got you on.
Just peeing yourself is not a good story. We've all done that.
Good. I mean, you didn't really, key us up for this one.
I'm sorry. So,
now, wait a minute, you talk about being scared, okay? We had an 8-track little boom box back in the day. This is 1975 or so.
Yeah.
And Timmy had this truck driving music, and on it had this siren on it. And it was like I had that thing in the back, and I had it blasting, and Daddy's driving. He's like, "What the hell?" And he found out
and he wasn't one to panic or nothing.
No.
Yeah.
Well, that was the end of the boom box deal.
Yeah. The greatest Travco story is going to Daytona, and we pulled in one of them little service stations, and it had the fluorescent lights, and back then they had them fiberglass CB antennas, pretty stiff. So we pull in there and he done busted a couple of these lights out. So he felt bad. So he goes in there, and evidently it was the guy that owned the, back then it was mom and pop stations. So he pops down probably a $100 bill or whatever, and the guy says, "No, it's going to be $200. So we went ahead and got gas and got ready to pull out. "Sit down, shut up, hang on." We got another run at it and busted every light on the way out.
He backed up.
Story.
And he backed up and got more.
Got him another round.
He said, "I done paid for them son of guns."
He said, "I paid for all of them. I'm gonna break them all." True story.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm on time. I got an Uncle Maurice story for this, and we were leaving Daytona after a February test, and I'm driving that big old van, that's 48 foot long, that held 600 people in it, and we pulled back out, and that's before the lights and everything in front of Daytona, and we pulled out to the thing, and there were people still testing, so there were people coming to watch. You know how people would come down and they'd set up in turns 4 there, and they'd watch you test. So there's a car, somebody'd leave the infield, then a car would come in. Leave the infield, car from the road, turn in. 1, 1, 1, 1. So they went 1, and I got on the gas, and this guy pulled out in front of me, and I tapped the brake, and Uncle Maurice said, "Hit him." Promise. He said, "Hit him." I clipped this guy in the left rear quarter panel and looped him around right in that intersection. and Uncle Mar's screaming the whole time, roll down the window, roll down the window. And I rolled down the window, and Uncle Mar's looked this guy straight in the eye and said, we're not signing autographs right now. Let's go. And we went back and got on 95 and went up the next exit. And I don't know if he felt guilty, but he said, get off. We need to get some oranges right here. So we got off and bought a truckload of oranges right there to get away from the guy. And I never heard any more about it. Never heard any more about it. So growing up, and you talk about going to races in the 70s and stuff with Uncle Mar's. And what was Uncle Mar's like when you won? And what was he like when you didn't win?
Well, I was just going to brought memory there. It's the 76 Daytona, right? We were little kids. I don't think he spoke a word driving back for 2 hours. And there wasn't a word spoken, was it? And we didn't speak
He
either.
knew better than talk, too.
Well, it was like at every race. You better be at the van. You better be ready. And when he got in there, you drove, and you might drive an hour down the road and he speak, and you might get all the way home. But you didn't make a noise until he spoke.
That's right.
And it was just, he was, you know.
You remember Atlanta 78 when Uncle Richard won the race, and then they kept the scorecards, and they said Donnie won, and they come back and said Richard won.
Yeah.
Well, we stayed there. It was.
So you're saying there's 201.
What's that?
There's actually 201.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Right. But anyway, that's
Oh, this is for a whole nother show.
We get into that story, the whole deal. But anyway, Daddy was so mad because he said they'd scraped off the score and wrote it back in with pen, and it was in pencil.
Different color.
We were going out the back, and they done locked all the gates. So we pulled over. He went out to the back of the van and got the bolt cutters and cut the gate, and we went out the back.
That's not the first time that happened, was it?
Richie Barnes probably got some pretty good stories about that Travco
I
camp.
hate you didn't invite him up here.
I should have. Listen, the only time I don't know if y'all were there. They took it to Pocono one time, that Travco camper. Yeah, and hit a skunk or something. Sat in the infield for a day or two, airing out. All the windows were open in it. I just remember pulling in the racetrack in the morning, that one morning, and all the curtains were flung out the windows because he left all the stuff.
Now, being cold the last week here brought some memories to me this past week. When we were young, I mean, those little kids, when it would snow and stuff and the temperatures would get really cold around here. It ain't that cold no more, but it would get cold. We'd have to come over here and help wrap pipes, and open doors and turn the heats on. Would nobody be here, but he'd have to come over here and do all that. So you was talking about nothing went on here without him.
Yeah.
When nobody was here, he was still taking care of the place.
I learned good. I made a career of it.
And then there was times when the old alarm on the parts deal would go off.
Oh yeah.
And he'd come over here with a shotgun. And one time somebody had run through the fence and stole a van because we had left the keys in the vans all the time. And I guess they down here around Brenda's, the guy had wrecked it or whatever.
Didn't get far.
But he chased them the whole dang way.
What was it like when y'all were growing up and y'all were kids? Because the motor room was right there. Yeah, motor room was right there. Did y'all spend a lot of time over there with him? I mean, or did he let you in the door? I mean,
You had to be a certain age.
Yeah, because anytime I walked through, he kind of motioned me on out. You know what I mean?
So
Yeah.
me and this would get in trouble in summertime over at the house. And Mother would call him, say, I can't handle them no more, I'm sending them over. But when we come over, you know the little door you walk in there to drink.
Oh, yeah.
But anyways, when you got to that door, you would come in the door and you stood there and you didn't say a word to nobody till he came by. And he might come by in 5 minutes. It might take 2 hours. But he'd walk by and say, I don't know what you've done, but stand there. And then finally it got to the point where he told us, when I leave for work in the morning, y'all leave the house, I don't care where you go, and don't come back till I'm home from work. That's how he fixed that problem. So
when you were growing up, and a little bit before them, and we go back to
Y'all are a lot older than us.
Yeah, we are.
yeah.
A lot older, dude. A lot older. Yeah, when y'all were growing up, they didn't work regular hours over here because he'd come back to work at night.
Just all of them.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I mean, what do you remember about that? Because I mean, they'd come home and they'd go to work early in the morning and work to lunch, come home and eat lunch at home, then turn around and come back, come home and eat dinner, and then come back.
Well, that's actually a two-part answer.
Okay, let me have both parts. Give me both parts now.
I will. First of all, before we answer that, thank everybody for coming out. I've worked with everybody off and on throughout the years. Been meaning to come up to this thing, and it's great seeing you because this is our family right here.
Yep.
All right, to answer the question. At
Is that the
lunchtime,
first part? No.
this is the first time. No, second part of the first part.
Okay.
So, Daddy would come home, and whatever it wouldn't be much, but he'd eat a little something. But he'd take him about a 30-minute siesta on the couch in that front room. And if you happened to be home, where it was summer, winter, whatever, you knew about what time it was. If you made a peep, he'd be up and hollering at you.
Yeah.
The same way when he went to bed. They didn't care how long he stayed up, as long as he was away from his bedroom, because he was just that intense.
Yeah.
But now, as far as the hours go, I could remember him coming home, and y'all do too, eating supper. He'd come home and eat, and he would come back over here. And the old dyno run different than the ones I got now. It was a step, come off of it. And we'd go to bed hearing that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Especially before, the testing and all that in Daytona.
Same, because we lived right there, so you just hear it.
But, I mean, I miss it. I miss those days of hearing that. I mean, it was music, man.
Yeah. So it's funny you said that. So if there was ever a question that Richard Petty and Maurice Petty were brothers, okay? So Richard Petty used to come home at lunch, and he'd take 2 pieces of white bread. I know y'all have heard this story. Take 2 pieces of white bread and put mayonnaise on both of them, and then put pepper on the mayonnaise until it was black, and then put them together and eat it, and lay down in the middle of the living room floor and sleep for about an hour. And then he'd get up and go back to work.
They did it on crackers
every day.
too.
On crackers.
Daddy,
Soda
I was
crackers
gonna say,
too.
Daddy took the crackers.
Yeah,
too.
mayonnaise crackers. Ate mayonnaise crackers all the
Now,
time.
Grandfather Petty, he'd take a nap too during the day.
Oh, yeah.
They all did.
They all
You
did.
talk about him coming home for lunch. I got a good story. I was maybe 12, 13. Remember the Cub Cadet mowers?
Oh, yeah.
I know Richie does. he worked on them every day. But anyways, I was supposed to mow the yard that day. Well, I got out there to mow the yard that morning and throwed the belt. So like I'm good, Can't mow the belts off of it.
Yeah, equipment
so
failure.
I go in, he comes home for lunch, and I'm probably in the house, and I go on air conditioner watching cartoons maybe. I don't know.
Island.
Yeah, Gilligan's Island, whatever it is. But anyways, he didn't say a word, and he ate, and he took his nap, didn't say a word, and I'm like, I'm good, man. I'm home free. He got ready to leave, and I ain't going to say the exact words. There's a few cuss words involved. But he said, I don't care if you got to use a pair of scissors. My yard better be mowed when I get home from work. And he left. And I learned that day how to put a belt on a Cub Cadet.
Yeah. Oh,
Beat the scissors.
But,
Yeah.
but Daddy, all right, talking about him growing up, he worked hard, and he worked when he had to work, but he played good too. When it was time to play, like we go to the beach or whatever, it was fun. I mean, he was fun, but buddy, you didn't bother him at work. You talking about coming to the motor room, you didn't talk to nobody, you didn't bother nobody, and you didn't bring your drama to the shop.
Everybody would agree with that story.
Yeah.
But when he played hard, and when he worked hard. Best I can put it.
yeah. So Granddaddy Petty, he had those Cub Cadets. So one day I was 9, 10, and he wanted me to come pick up golf balls for him. I was up there doing nothing, and he said, hey, go out there and pick up my golf balls. I said, okay. So I take a 5-gallon bucket, and I'm 8 or 9. I've been hanging out at a race shop. So I go out there and I pick up all them golf balls. Got it, and I'm 8 or 9. And when you got a 5-gallon bucket full of golf balls and you're all the way over at y'all's yard, it's a long way back to the house. So I hauled those things and drug them and hauled them and drug them and hauled them and drug them and set them down on his back porch, and he gave me a quarter.
Because he didn't have any change.
Yeah, and I looked straight at him and told him, to pick up his own damn golf balls next time, and went home.
So you get by with that. We
Hold on. I can get by with this.
Okay.
I can get by with this.
All right.
So he told Grandma, and Grandma called Daddy, and Daddy and Mama gave me a knife and told me to cut a switch on the way back across the yard.
Oh yeah.
Y'all ever have to cut a switch?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Told me to cut a switch on back. That's the last time I cussed my granddaddy.
Okay.
I will say that.
Yeah.
Hey, but when
I'll tell you one about cussing somebody. Well, I didn't cuss them. I was about 9 years old, right? Told my
Yeah.
daddy and being pretty stern. They went out for New Year's or something, and we had a babysitter. And the babysitter told me to go to bed. And I commenced to tell her I'd go to bed when I got good and dang ready. I had the little chief in me, right?
Thought you did, yeah.
I thought I did. So anyway, I went to bed when I got good and dang ready. Well, that night I got woke up with a smack. He didn't wake me up. There was the belt on my back. And he said, "Don't you ever talk to a babysitter like
No
that
way.
again." Yeah, that's how I got woke
Are
up.
you
was
ready
the
for
belt.
bed yet, son?
oh, that's crazy.
I thought
man.
I was a Winston Cup champion for a long time because I had it on my.
You had that belt on.
The belt had
goes
Winston
back.
Cup
The
champion.
reverse of it.
There was reverse.
In the mirror,
on
it looked perfect.
I walked around. I was the Winston Cup champion.
That's good, man. So, all right, you talk about how quiet he was when you didn't win. What about when you won a race?
Worse.
Was it worse?
Worse. I asked him one time, later in life, was at casino one time, and I asked him, we had good talks at casino, but I said, when we won a race, why was you always madder? He said, because we had to go back it up.
Yeah.
He said it was more pressure. That's once
No
you,
way.
When you win, he said, and the more the pressure, the just
Well, you could ask Richard
Stress.
probably, but Daddy told us about
Yeah.
the '67 season after they won 10
Yeah.
in a row, and they didn't. I guess they blowed up or something on that 11 in a row deal. And grandfather was mad as hell. He was like, "Why didn't y'all win it?"
Yeah. No. Listen, hey, and y'all spent a lot of time with Granddaddy too.
Yep.
How hard? Did Granddaddy get in a fight with y'all at Caraway, or did y'all get in your own fight?
He started
He
it.
started it.
No, we didn't know he was there. I was racing that night, and